Good day, modelers. Today I bring you a model transformation from a long-range sport twin FPV model into a wannabe World War II fighter bomber. AtomRc produces a 1200mm wingspan sport model called the Beluga or White Whale. I picked up the kit from the AtomRc website just before Christmas of 2025. It includes only the foam and plastic parts and only those electrical components unique to the model, such as the connectors for the wiring to create an automatic mate when sliding on the wings. I had to supply my own motors, ESCs, props, landing gear, and receiver, of which I have many. The next few slides show you the changes I made to the model to make it look a bit more like a World War II fighter bomber. Probably the most striking change to the model was the addition of a radial cowl and dummy engine to the OEM nacelle. I also added a lower nacelle fairing to mostly cover over the retracted main gear. I also cut off the wing tips and vertical tail tips and added new smooth contour shapes. The nose of the Beluga looked a bit too long to me, so I designed and printed a new shorter nose that looks a bit like a P-38 Lightning from World War II. The guns were added in carbon tube. The canopy of the Beluga is quite oversized, probably from the manufacturer wanting to have plenty of room for large, clunky FPV equipment. I cut down the front part of the OEM canopy to reduce the height and used the back part of an FMS PC-21 canopy for the rear section. The front of the canopy has a simulated flat, bulletproof windshield, but no plastic is installed to provide cooling to the digital camera and VTX. It also improves forward vision clarity. I installed a pair of G-Force 2830 1200 kV motors and 30 amp Aerostar ESCs in the nacelles. I had to rip out and reinstall new landing gear mounts in the wings and nose to accommodate the RC Lander all-metal retracts I had on hand, as they did not fit the OEM mounts. I made provisions in the cockpit for a CADX Walksnail HD Nano V3 camera and VTX on a universal pan-only mount I designed. Just a few screws allow me to swap the unit from model to model. Camera motion control is provided by the recently released FMS Sync Pilot head tracking system. The model flies with a 4S 4500 mAh battery pack, and this provides 4 to 5 minutes of spirited performance. And lastly, I installed a centerline bomb drop mechanism of my own design. It uses a simple and reliable servo-driven key-like mechanism and a keyhole in the bomb to effect carriage and release. I designed a scale 500-pound World War II general-purpose bomb to an appropriate size for this model. Our field was covered with snow on the day I decided to make the first flight. Getting to the field after sunrise, the snow was still frozen on top and actually provided a nice surface to fly off. The winds were light out of the southeast, so I placed the model down beyond the footprints we had already made and taxied out to position. Normally I would make a line of sight trim flight first, but I was afraid that if I did not make a good landing on the snow, I may damage the model and not be able to fly at FPV. So I made the decision to go right to the first flight under the goggles. As you can see, I also installed a simulated instrument panel in the cockpit. The depth of field of the camera does not make it very sharp, but at least it is something to enhance the experience of flying a World War II fighter bomber. After adding some throttle to test how well the model was rolling on the snow, I decided to advance the throttle to full and take off. I immediately realized I had too much aileron control, so I switched to low rates. The elevator seemed fine, so I left it alone. I retracted the gear once I saw I had a positive rate of climb and proceeded to trim the model. To my surprise, it needed none. Not one click of trim in any axis. The model appeared to have good stability in all axes, despite the short-coupled design. I rolled the model inverted and realized I needed very little down elevator to hold level flight. The CG must be pretty good. After checking to see if there was any change in trim to the aircraft with half flaps and full flaps, there was none. I decided to land with full flaps to try and reduce my ground speed to as low as possible, in case the landing on the snow proved to be problematic. Touchdown was not as soft as I would have liked, but the still frozen, crusty snow supported the model well. Unfortunately, I rolled into a previously made footprint and came to a stop, fortunately at a very slow speed. Thanks for watching. More as it happens.